anywhere that people who need access to these things may not have access to these things. So super stoked to see you all show up on New Year's Eve to support a great cause. Thank you. Let's get started. Do the thing we came to do. So we'll start in child's pose. Chest is to the floor. Take your knees super wide. Toes come to touch behind you. We practice in this style of yoga what's called in Sanskrit a ujjayi breath, which literally means it's a victorious breath. So start right here by filling up completely on your inhales until there's no more room left. Notice the pause that's there, and then exhale completely until there's no more air left. Notice the pause that's there. Now, what makes this victorious breath is the sound. So take your tongue a little bit closer to the back of your throat. So on your exhales, you're creating that sound like you're intentionally trying to fog up a mirror. Well, this is the time of year where we all love to set resolutions and intentions in moving ahead. I'm a big believer in embodied manifestation. So I would like you to take a moment right here and think of a word or phrase, something that encapsulates what you would like to create in the year ahead. For me, that word is simplicity. Want to make my life as easy as possible moving forward. Cut some things out that aren't needed, add in some more rest. What is something you want to manifest in your life? Now ask yourself what it would feel like, what it will feel like once that's in place. So going back to that other example with my word simplicity, what that might feel like for me is a sigh of relief. It might feel like life is just a bit easier. It might feel more restful. Now start to take those feelings that you think you're going to feel and embody them now. Act as if that thing is already present, as if that situation has already manifested. And we're going to carry that through our yoga practice, being the yogi that has those things. So take one more big breath here. Exhale it all out. Take your first downward facing dog. Move around your dog. Go ahead and bend one knee and then the other. Take your hips side to side. Whatever you need to get the creaks and cracks out. Get the cobwebs moving around. I'm going to bring around some assisting cards real quick. This just allows me to know whether or not you are interested in hands-on assists. You're allowed to flip that yes or no as many times as you'd like to throughout class. You're in charge of your whole experience here. Come to settle in your dog in stillness and add your breath to it. So on the inhale, lift your heels up high. On the exhale, bring them down toward the mat. 2 more like that together. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Walk your feet all the way up to your hands. Ragdoll. So forward fold here, pulling the pit of your belly all the way up towards your spine. Yeah, so you've got that nice round C-shaped curve. You combine the arms here, let them hang loose. I like to take a sway side to side here. Shake your head yes and no. And on your next inhale, rise all the way to stand. Extended mountain at the top of your mat. Hands at heart center. Declare your intention here. What is that thing that you want? Or what is that thing you're going to leave here for me to mop up on the floor after class? And we'll seal those intentions with 1 Om together. Big breath in. Om. Inhale, extended mountain. I didn't see there was anyone behind me. And fold. Come on in, guys. Yeah, halfway lift. Take a big breath in and fold. Thank you so much. Inhale, extended mountain. Fill up, reach up. Exhale to fold. Halfway lift. Fill your lungs. Create a long, flat back and fold. Extended mountain. Reach up, look up, and fold. Last time. Halfway lift. Fill your lungs. Now step back, chaturanga. Step back to a high plank. Lower down to low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Full breath in. Exhale it out. 2 more, fill up and empty. Last one, inhale. Exhale, feet to hands, halfway lift. Fold. Extended mountain, fill your lungs. Fold and empty them. Halfway lift. Chaturanga, step or hop back. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. 1 more, Sun-A, breath in and out. 2 more, fill up and empty. Fill up, empty completely. Feet to your hands, halfway lift. Fold. Extended mountain, press your feet into the floor. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, breathe in. Downward facing dog, exhale. Breathe in, lift your heels. Exhale down. 2 more, fill up and empty. Fill completely. Empty out. Feet to hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Chair pose, 1 breath, sink down, reach high. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right side, warrior 1. Step your right foot all the way forward. Reach up to the ceiling and hold here. Come down far enough in your lunge that you can feel the stretch all the way up your left hip flexor. Yeah, and you are your own best teacher because you can feel what's happening in the body. So sink low until you've got it. Nice. Now reach up on your inhale, chest to the ceiling, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog, left side. Step, reach, and pause at the top. Press down through both big toe mounts here. Bring your heel down toward the floor on your back foot. Yeah, that's where our warrior 1 is. So you can press down through the whole outside of the foot and launch yourself forward. 1 more breath. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Big breath in. Exhale it out. And you've got 2 more. Fill up and empty. Last time, inhale. Exhale completely. Spring forward, feet to hands. Nice jumps. Half lift. Fold. Chair pose. Sink down, look up. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right side, warrior 1. 1 breath this time. Step through and inhale on the way up. Chaturanga. Exhale on the way down. Breath in. Let it go. Left side. Step and reach. Take your drishti, your gaze up to the ceiling. Fold, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Nice big breath in and empty. You've got 2 more. Fill up and empty. Last one. Prepare. Bend your knees and hover. Jump forward. Half lift. Fold. Chair pose. Sink lower. fold, halfway lift, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right side warrior one. Inhale all the way to the top, chaturanga on your exhale, up dog, down dog, left side. You're just moving with your breath. Inhale to reach, exhale chaturanga. Your breath may be slightly different than your neighbor's, different than the pace I'm calling, and that's perfect. That's all yoga is. We're literally yoking the breath and the body together. Breath in together. Stick your tongue out, lion's breath out. Lift your right leg up behind you. Stretch it past the back of your mat. So more than height here, we want to find length. Like you could, if there were a yogi directly behind you or a wall directly behind you, you could kick it down with the force of your leg. Bend your knee, open your hip, stay here in the stretch, or flip your dog over. That can also be accessed from sitting on your bottom first and then lifting up. I think that's the easier way to get into this pose. Take your gaze past your fingertips. Nice. And if there's a wheel starting there, bring your fingertips down toward the floor. See what happens. Beautiful, Shaleka. Press your hands down. One more breath. Both hands down, side plank on the right. So right arm down, left arm to the ceiling. The great thing about poses like this is that there's a million different degrees. So you can take this anywhere from one leg on the floor to one leg lifted. Choose what's right for you and then press up for one more breath. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in. Blow it out. Lift your left leg up behind you. Press it past the back of your mat. Nice. Now flex your feet and dial all 5 of those toes down toward the mat. You got it. Now press in even harder. One more breath. Bend your knee. Open your hip. Stay or flip. Both feet here right on 12 o'clock. So John and everyone, bring your feet just a little bit closer together. This one into where you can feel my hand. Yes, right there's where you want to be. Press your hips up. Press your chest up. One more breath. Both hands down, side plank on the left. Left arm down, right arm to the ceiling. Take this with a knee down all the way up to the leg lifted. You decide. You choose your experience. You choose how you embody this. One more breath. Chaturanga on your exhale. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Full breath in. Exhale it out. Lift your right leg up behind you. Bring it in and hover knee to nose. So your shoulders are hovering right over your wrists. Step your foot forward for crescent lunge on the right. Sit down deep right away. Our hips are the heaviest part of our body, and that's where our center of gravity is. So if the balance is challenged, the further the hips are down to the floor, the better. Lift both sides of your body to your ears. Hands to heart center, twist to your right. You've got all this integrity in your left leg, and you can take that with the knee down. Sometimes that gives us more access to this twist. I personally love taking this with the knee down. Then use your breath to create the twist. So inhales to lengthen your spine. Exhale, twist a little bit more. One more like that. Fill and lengthen. Twist it out. Come back to crescent lunge. Warrior 2. Stay low in your front knee. Take your drishti here, your focal point, right over top of your front fingertips. Nice. And then all of us can lift the back arm up to meet the front one. Yeah, when our drishti is forward, sometimes we forget what the rest of the body is doing. Nice. Now come back with your breath. All 4 parts, the inhale, the exhale, and the 2 pauses between. One more breath. Extended side angle. Bring your fingertips down towards your front arch, keeping that 90-degree bend in your front knee. And then the more that knee is bent, the more you can keep this length that you've created on the right side of the body. Pull both sides of your body to your ears. Chaturanga on your exhale. Upward facing dog. And then downward facing dog. Nice big breath in. Exhale it out. Lift your left leg up behind you. Bring it in, knee to nose and hover. Shoulders stack over top of your wrist. Step it forward, crescent lunge. Now for the back foot on this side, we want the heel to be reaching up toward the ceiling. And feel for, maybe even look for here, that the heel is balanced right over top of your foot. For most of us, it's way back here, and that just means we have more room to come down in the lunge. Yeah, take it to your degree. Lift up through the pelvis to your crown. Hands to heart center, twist to your left. Your choice here what to do with the arms. If they're staying here at heart center, press them in together to expand your chest and upper back. Nice. And if the arms are coming out wide, you can use that bottom arm as leverage to really crank open that twist. Can you peel the top arm back just one more? Yes, breath in, twist it out, back to crescent lunge. Warrior 2, come on down. Embody the warrior here. So in the story that this pose name comes from, the story of Virabhadra, in this particular pose, he's taking aim at his opponent. So set your drishti, your sights on one point. Yeah, and like be determined about what that is, something specific, something you can name. Last breath, extended side angle. Bring your fingertips down towards your front arch. Fingertips can come down to a block here as well if that brings the floor a bit closer to your hand. Nice. Now reach your left fingertips, or your right fingertips rather, all the way up here toward the windows rather than up toward the ceiling. Yeah, so now you've got that stretch going all the way from your back foot all the way to your fingertips. One more breath here. Chaturanga on your exhale. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in together and out together. Feet to your hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Extended mountain reach all the way up. Now sit on back for chair pose. Keep your fingers lifted. Gaze toward the ceiling. Sit back far enough here that you might feel, if you weren't reaching forward, that you would tumble back onto your mat. Nice. Hands to heart center, twist to your right. Notice your knees here on one line. So for most of us, that left knee wants to kind of creep forward a little bit. You can pull this. Yeah, you got it. The hips are even. Press down in your feet. One more breath. Stay for the twist. Inhale back to chair and fold. Fingers to toes forward fold. Take your peace fingers, wrap them around your big toes. And then create length here in your back body. So gravity is taking care of everything in the torso here, pulling everything down toward the floor. Let your head drop to the floor. Now bend your knees just a little. Press down into your heels and press your hips up to the ceiling. Yeah, like you wanted to sit your sit bones on the light bar above you. Release your toes. Inhale, chair pose. Sink down, reach high. And then you know how low you went for that twist on the other side. So let's get there right away. Go a little bit lower. Hands to heart center, twist to your left. Look down and see that the knees are in line, tracking straight over your middle toes. Use your breath. Inhales to lengthen. Exhales to twist a little more. 2 more. Fill up. And empty. Fill up. Twist it out. Back to chair pose. And fold. Palms to toes forward fold or gorilla pose. So place the backs of your hands here onto the mat and then step onto your palms. Knees are bent a lot to make that happen. This is one of those poses in the yoga practice that never really gets any easier, but it does get more accessible. So work that stretch up the back of your hamstrings here, pressing your muscles up to the ceiling. Can you take your elbows here a little bit out to the sides to pull the top half of your body down even more? Yeah, smooth out the breath. 1 in together. Exhale it out. Release your toes. Crow pose, goddess squat, or an inversion of your choice. So crow is basically our hands are now our feet. We're going to set up so our wrists are parallel to the front of the mat and create little shelves on the back of our elbows. Knees go right outside of those shelves. Start to pull in here. Pull in your knees into your center. Press your elbows out into your knees. Crow starts with just 1 set of toes off the ground. And then maybe we shift and try the other set of toes, see how that feels. Yeah, and what'll happen as you're creating your crow over time, you're gonna face plant multiple times while you're doing it. Everyone does. So just allow it to happen. Your mat's underneath you. You've got 3 more breaths just to play wherever you're at. On your third exhale, step or hop back, chaturanga. Nice. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Full breath in. Exhale it out. Move your feet to your hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Extended mountain at the top of your mat. Take eagle pose on your right. So right arm comes under. Maybe the hands go around each other. A big bear hug is also an option here. Right leg goes over, and then we'll have a little seat. Sit down far enough here that you can feel the pulling in of your thighs together. Nice. Now flex the top foot. Stick your focus point on one spot. Commit to it and switch sides. Left arm under, left leg over. Build the pose from the bottom. So starting on your standing foot, press your big toe mound into the floor. And now lift and spread the toes. You can feel all of the little muscles in the bottom of your foot articulating to hold you up straight. 1 more breath. Both feet to the floor. Very nice. Standing leg raise. We'll do this a little bit differently today. So take the palms of your hands onto your sacrum, so this bony plate at your low back. You want to be able to feel kind of where your hips are in space. Lift your right knee all the way up to your chest as far as it can go. Feel that your hips stay even. Press it forward. Inhale, bring it in. Exhale, press it forward. Can you lift it up an inch? Bring it in. Last time, press it forward. Keep your hands where they are. Airplane. Press your foot all the way back. Yeah, and as you move here, you'll notice where those hips want to go. Usually it's this right hip that wants to go way up into the sky. Keep them as even as you can. Now reach all the way back for your heels full airplane. Nice, and we're gonna do half moon a little bit different today. So drishti, take it to the floor. You're gonna take your right hand, bring it down toward the floor. Left arm to a T or toward the ceiling for twisting half moon. And take your gaze just as far over as it wants to go. It doesn't have to go all the way up to your hand, but if it wants to, sure. Yeah, and we're twisting the opposite direction. So put your right hand down. Yes. One more breath right here. Both feet to the mat. Fantastic. Now we get to do it on the other side. So hands at your hips. Go ahead, lift your left leg. Notice if this one doesn't want to lift up as high as the other. We're all uneven. Press it forward. Lift it in. Press it forward. Inhale to lift. Press it forward. Can you lift another inch? Airplane. Straight back. Feel the hips in one even line. So if you were to place one of those bubble levels right on your low back, your bubble's going to be right in the middle. Fingertips to a block, totally helpful here. Now place your left fingertips to the floor and reach your right arm out to a T, maybe twist it toward the ceiling. Keep pressing through your left foot. The more muscles in that leg that you engage, the lighter the leg gets. One more breath, both feet to the mat. Inhale, extended mountain. Take dancer pose on your right. We're going to grab for the inside of your right ankle. Reach your chest forward and send your shin all the way back. Now, as you're reaching for the ankle here, notice that the soft part of your elbow is facing out toward the edge of your mat with your thumb up toward the ceiling. It's going to give you room to open in the shoulder. Nice. Take your gaze to that one spot. 2 more breaths. Let it be messy. Dance it on over to the left. Catch the inside of the left ankle. Again, soft part of the elbow out, thumb toward the ceiling. Nice. Now, without pulling that shoulder forward, can you bring the collarbone forward? Yeah, so if you had a flashlight right there in the center of your chest, it's shining at the front of the room. One more breath. Both feet to the floor. Tree pose, right side. So your foot can land anywhere you'd like it to land except for the inside of the knees. So below, above, all fair game. Press into your standing foot, little bend in the knee, and express your tree. You choose the arm variation. If you're looking for a bit more centering, maybe hands at heart center. If you need a bit more grounding, maybe a bind behind the back. Get tall, get proud, embody that yogi we talked about earlier in child's pose, the one that had that thing that you're looking for. You are that yogi. How does that yogi do tree pose? Switch sides. And then foot anywhere. It can be on the floor here, toes to the floor. You've still got tree pose happening because this leg is extended outward. Reach up, maybe even look up for a challenge. And then if you feel called to, close the eyes and just see what happens there. Your tree can sway in the wind. It's how we know they're strong trees because they don't break in the wind. They just keep moving. Allow it to get messy. One more big breath. Both feet to the floor. Inhale, extended mountain at the top of your mat. Exhale to fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga, step or hop back. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward for triangle pose. Take up as much room on your mat as you can front to back. We want the front foot parallel to the side of your mat, back foot parallel to the short side of your mat. Nice, and then reach everything here all the way up to the ceiling, both sides of your body long, and start to hinge forward over that front foot, taking as much of the flexion out of your leg as you can. Once you get here as horizontal as you're gonna go ahead and place the fingertips down to a block or to your shin. Reach the left arm all the way up to the ceiling. Nice. You want to find as much length here on the right side of your torso as you can. Side facing wide leg forward fold. 10 toes to the left side of your mat. You can place your hands on your hips here, little bend in the knees, and take a fold. Bless you. If this is the point in the practice where you typically take on an inversion or maybe some lunges side to side, you do you. As you're moving, take your drishti from one point to the next. Now add your breath back to the movement. If you remember what side you started on, get complete on both sides. On an inhale, rise all the way to stand. And we'll move to triangle on the left. So just switch the feet here. Your left foot points toward what was the back of your mat. Front foot parallel to what was the front of your mat. Nice. And then take your feet here so you could see that you can draw a line straight from your front heel all the way to your back heel. Nice. Reach everything up to the ceiling. Start to hinge forward. And when you get as horizontal as you're going to go, place those fingertips down. Very nice. And right here, take as much flexion out of your knee as you can, just keeping that little micro bend that's there. Inhale, rise all the way to stand, side facing wide leg forward fold, 10 toes toward the left side of the mat again. And fold. You can choose here to have a bind behind your back. Now, if your hands are really starting to get in front of you, you're super bendy flexy here and they're coming down toward the floor, bend your elbows a little bit to give your shoulders a bit more room to open. Nice. Let your head drop to the floor here. Press down in your feet. Inhale, rise all the way to stand. Step to the head of your mat. Extended mountain at the top. Big breath in. Fold on your exhale. Halfway lift. Chaturanga, step or hop back. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Roll yourself out to a high plank. And to the count of 5, we'll lower down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way to your mat. Locust pose. Press your hips down and lift your chest. Maybe your toes lift a few inches. Reach for your heels. Nice. And what we want to find here is length from your tailbone all the way to the crown of your head. So the amount of lift is going to be different for all of us. One more big breath. Lower down. Place your right cheek on the mat, windshield wiper your feet. Locust number 2. This time, tuck your toes under so the balls of your feet are on the mat. Press them down and lift the top half of the body for your locust pose. Yeah, so we added a bit of stability to the bottom of the pose so we can get lighter in the top half. Can you reach your arms all the way forward? Yes, now hug your shoulders up onto your back. One more breath, all the way down. Floor bow. We'll do just one, so grab for your ankles. On an inhale, press your shins to the back of your mat. Allow that to lift your chest. So take your focus here to your shoulders. If they're doing any work, let that melt. Squeeze your knees together. Lower all the way down to the floor. Very nice. Take the feet side to side. Place your hands at your lowest ribs. Upward facing dog on an inhale. Downward facing dog on your exhale. Bring your knees down to the mat. We'll do one camel pose. So here you're going to stack yourself up with your shoulders over your hips, hips over your knees. Place your hands in your imaginary back pockets and lift your chest to the ceiling. Now your hands here can serve two purposes. Press into that bony plate to retract the shoulders back, and press down into that bony plate a little to send your tailbone down toward the floor. So we've got lots and lots of length and lift, chest up toward the ceiling. On an inhale, come up and out, and then press yourself back to downward facing dog. Really lengthen out your spine here. Press your hands into the floor. Send your sit bones all the way up and back. You make even more length in your spine. Nice big breath in. Exhale it out. Jump your way through to a seat. Staff pose. Bring your feet all the way out in front. Arms out in front like a mummy, and we'll start with a little C-shaped curve at the bottom of the spine. Turn your abs on. On the exhale, we're going to lower down just a couple inches. Inhale to stay. Exhale, lower down a few more inches. Inhale to stay. Exhale, slowly lower all the way down. And then set up your bridge pose. So knees to the ceiling. Stack your heels directly underneath of your knees. Press your heels down. Inhale, rise. Hip bridge number one. Now, I always like to mention this here in the hip bridges for those of us that do like strength work and other modalities. There's always that little glute squeeze that automatically happens here. See if you can let that go and let all the work here happen in pressing your feet down to lift up. Yeah, it's a totally different sensation. One more breath in, lower all the way down. You get 3 more back bends and you get to decide what to do with them. So you can take more bridges or you can place yourself all the way up in wheel pose. Hands as close to your shoulders as possible as you're setting up your wheel. Squeeze your elbows in together and rise. Bridge your wheel for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower all the way down. Breath in together and out. Inhale, rise, bridge your wheel number 2. Stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Last one. Breath in, breath out. On an inhale, rise. You got it. Set your drishti on one spot. No need to look down toward the floor. Look at something directly in front of your face. Last breath. Lower all the way down. Great work. Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of your feet come together. Let your knees splay out wide. A hand on your belly and a hand on your heart. And start to direct your breath here down into your belly. On every inhale, feel the belly fill up. Pull the navel to the spine on the exhale. This type of breathing really gets our diaphragm moving and stimulates the vagus nerve. It's this interesting set of nerves that come all the way from the brain down to your large intestine. And diaphragmatic breathing stimulates that nerve and stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. So that takes us from our fight and flight mode into our rest and digest mode. Dead bug, take your feet to the ceiling. Grab for the outsides of your feet, the backs of your thighs, or maybe even the front of your shins here. Whichever one of those options allows you to keep that bony plate at your low back on the floor. So your hips should feel really heavy. You can rock side to side for happy baby if you'd like. And take your feet all the way to the ceiling. Let's experience a little bit of stability. So lower your right leg down halfway. On your exhale, switch legs. Your pace with your breath. Flex your feet. Press them into the air like you're scraping mud off the bottom of your shoes. Pull the navel to the spine on every exhale and allow that abdominal work to be what moves your legs. Bring your feet all the way up. On your exhale, lower them 30 degrees down toward the floor. And another 30. Hover them 2 inches above your mat. Lift your shoulders. Take a look at your toes. Send them all the way back up. One more. Exhale, lower 30. 30 degrees more. Down toward the floor. Lift up. Take a look at your toes. Little flutter kicks maybe. Yeah, for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Send them up. Hug your knees. I always have to giggle. I like making a whole room of adults do flutter kicks. It's like my favorite thing. So, abdominal twists. Stack your knees over top of your hips and challenge them to come no closer to your face than that. Opposite elbow to opposite knee, your choice how it gets there, your pace. And you can keep the knees at center, or if you want an extra challenge, you can extend one leg and then the other. Get your obliques involved here doing the work. So rather than just the elbow to the knee, maybe think about taking your armpit towards your knee. So there's more of a twist involved on both sides. You got it, and this is your pace. So when it gets difficult, slow down. And then when that gets difficult, speed up. Yeah, those constant changes allow those fast twitch muscles to accommodate. Go for another 5, 4, you got it, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees, roll like a ball back and forth 3 times, and we'll meet all the way in boat pose. Sit up on your sit bones here, and then you choose. We're going to row our boat. So if that changes your choice, that's up to you. Feet can be on the floor. Feet can be lifted. Hands could be behind your legs for support or lifted. We're going to switch from side to side for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees, rock back and forth. And we're going to take a figure 4 stretch here. So down on your back, both knees toward the ceiling. And I want you to take your right foot and place the ankle over top of your left knee. Now you'll start to feel, for most of us, a little stretch already, right at your piriformis. If you're not feeling a stretch, go ahead and wrap your hands around your left leg. You can reach for the thigh. You could reach for the shin. And then if you're not feeling anything here, take the palm of your right hand and you can place it on your right thigh, just gently rolling the muscle outward. And that increases the stretch a little bit. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. And switch to the other side, opposite leg on top. And then you build this pose how you need to. If you need more stretch, go ahead and reach for your right thigh or your right shin. I think one of my favorite things I've ever heard said in a yoga class is that, like, some of us need to take poses a little further to feel the stretch. So when we're here at the very beginning of a pose, those yogis that stay right here at step 1 have a more efficient practice because they're getting the stretch right away. The lovely thing about yoga is you make your practice so it fits your body in the way that it needs today. Release your legs. We'll go for seated single leg extensions. So rock on up. Right leg extends out in front. Bring your left leg in like tree pose. On your inhale, reach up to the ceiling. Exhale to fold forward. Take as big of a bend in your knee as you need here to feel a stretch happening. A lot of times we think the knee has to be completely straight here, and then we don't get any of the stretch because the energy just gets stuck at the locked out knee. So can you create that same thing we did here in the forward folds when we were standing, where you've got the little bend in your knee, press your heel forward like you're pressing it into the floor, and then send the sit bone all the way back toward the back of your mat, like you're pressing it up toward the ceiling if we were standing. Switch feet, left leg in front, right leg in like tree pose. Inhale to lift, exhale to fold. You may even find you need a bigger bend in the knee on this side. Take what you need. Add your breath back in. Your muscles need oxygen in order to know that it's okay to stretch. It's okay to open. We can find release. Release your toes, seated forward fold, both legs forward. Inhale to reach up. Exhale to fold. Most of us are going to find here with both knees in front, we need a bigger bend. Take what's appropriate for your body right now. You can let your head drop, let your shoulders round forward. Release your feet, tabletop or reverse plank. So we're going to place the whole sole of the foot on the floor, fingertips towards your heels, lift on up. So tabletop is with the knees bent. If you want to go for reverse plank, the legs are extended. The head can drop back if that feels right. One more breath to get the stretch all the way up the front side of your body. Lower all the way down. Let's get upside down. You guys choose. If you've got a headstand or handstand practice, you can take it on at the front of your mat, or there's plenty of wall space to play with. Waterfall or shoulder stand are also good options. So really, we just want to get the feet above the hips. Waterfall is simply on the floor, feet straight up. If you want to go for shoulder stand, that's where you're holding the back of your legs, or not back of your legs, the back of your hips with your hands. So you choose where you want to go. And then now that your feet are in your view, let's get really interested in them. Press them all the way up toward the ceiling. So you want your feet here directly over your hips. Our hips have big, strong bones that can handle all the weight of our legs a little bit better than our shoulders and our neck can. So the more you stack your heels over your hips, the less pressure is in the top half of the body. Shoulder stands and waterfalls. You can take this to plow. So bring your toes all the way down toward the floor behind you. If your toes reach the floor, you can let go of the bind at your back and bring your hands down toward the floor. Now take your plow to deaf yogi. Bring your knees down around your ears. Let your back get really round. Place your arms long out on the mat and use them as brakes, rolling down one vertebra at a time until you reach the mat with your hips. Once you're there, hug your knees into your chest and rock them over to your right side for a supine twist. Arms out long and wide, take your gaze to your left. And right here, start to breathe through the left side of your rib cage, so much that you might even feel those ribs start to separate a little bit, or at least the feeling of expansion in your chest. And feel here for one hip to be stacked right on top of the other. So for most of us, that's going to mean bringing that bottom hip a little bit closer to the center of your mat. Nice. Take 2 more breaths here on this side. As you complete your second breath, switch sides. Knees over toward the left. Gaze is to your right. Create the stacking in your hips here, one on top of the other. Take 2 more breaths here. And then come on back to center. Take Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of your feet together, knees out wide. Everyone here in studio has a cold lavender scented eye towel at the top of your mat. Feel free to place that over your eyes, your forehead, your neck. Friends at home, I invite you to dim your lights, and if you've got something nice prepared for yourself for Shavasana, indulge. We'll take 2 clearing breaths right here together. Inhale, fill up, and empty. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Shavasana, take your legs out long and wide. Take your arms out long and wide. Allow your breath here to return to a natural pace. I'll share today's passage from Journey to the Heart, titled Honor the Ending. The journey of a year is drawing to a close. Cherish the moments, all of them, even the ups and downs. Cherish the places that you've visited and the people you've seen. Say goodbye to those whose journeys have called them someplace else. Know that you can always call them back by thinking loving thoughts. Know all those who you love will be there for you when you need them the most. Honor the lessons that you've learned and the people who helped you learn them. Honor the journey that your soul has mapped out for you. Trust all the places you've been, and make a scrapbook in your heart to help you remember. Look back for a moment and reflect in peace. Then let this year draw to a close. All parts of the journey are sacred and holy, and you've learned that by now. Take the time to honor this ending, though it's never really the end. Go to sleep tonight, and when you wake up tomorrow, a new adventure will begin. Remember the words that you were told when this last adventure began, the words whispered quietly to your heart. Let the journey unfold. Let it be magical. The way has been prepared. People will be expecting you. And yes, you are being led. You've set your intention. You know where you want to go. Your only job now is to act as if. Bring some movement back to your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Roll out your wrists and your ankles. And take a full body stretch if you feel called. Fingers to one direction, toes to the other direction. And hug it all into center. Bring your knees to your chest. Rock over to your right side for infant's pose. Give yourself some gratitude for showing up and doing the work. Receive our gratitude for being at this class, giving a donation, and being up to something bigger than yourself. This work means so much to those in our community who get to receive it, and it's possible because of you. Press your left hand into the floor to rise to a comfortable seat. Eyes closed, or settle your drishti right in front of your nose. On an inhale, reach up for the ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll end as we began with an Om together. Breath in. Thumb knuckles rise to third eye center. We bow and acknowledge each other. Namaste. Great job, yogis. Give yourselves a round of applause. Questions, comments, or feedback, I am here for it. If you guys are interested in some of the workshops that we have coming up in the studio, we do have a reset and detox workshop happening tomorrow, a 2-hour asana class with Debbie Dower. So if you've taken Debbie's classes before, you know it's going to be a good time and you know you're going to learn a lot. So there's that opportunity. We also have a breath workshop and a meditation workshop, both happening this month. So if you're looking for a few more tools to add to your arsenal to kick butt in 2023, here's the place to get them. If you borrowed props, just leave them on the floor up here so I know which ones need wiped down. If you borrowed a mat, leave it be where it is. And I'll see y'all out front shortly. Watch your eyeballs.